think I need a drink of water after all those terms. Okay, how's that volume? Perfect. In 2011, my life, as I was living it, was abruptly and forever interrupted. To give ever so brief of a backstory, I left the cubicle life of big city living in Portland to return to my passion of teaching art and creativity. The opportunity presented itself for me to move back to my childhood hometown in Eastern Washington and live with my grandmother, helping her out around the house, simultaneously opening my art school, something that I had right out of college years before. I'd been dealing with some minor health and fatigue issues, but the energy of a new project, it enlivened me. I wrote a business plan, sought out a space to rent, worked feverishly setting up that space, and then opened for business. I was living my dream. The community showed up and supported me. I was involved in multiple downtown business associations, and I thoroughly enjoyed my evenings cooking for and eating with my grandmother. At this time in my life, I was extremely active. I was running, dancing, rock climbing, hiking, cross-training 7 days a week. My business had been open and running for several months, when suddenly, out of nowhere, I started having intense and severe abdominal pain. The kind of pain that causes you to pass out in the grocery store aisle with a cart full of groceries, land in the ER, or spend many evenings writhing in pain on a cold bathroom floor. There was no rhyme or reason to the pain, no rhythm, and seemingly no answers. Out of desperation, and after over a year of no guidance from the Western medical channels I had available in my small town, I consulted with a medical intuitive. I took the information she told me back to my doctor and requested specific imaging. The results of that imaging landed me at the end of 2012 into excision surgery for endometriosis and ovarian cysts with a specialist in Georgia. He diagnosed me with the highest level of the disease, stage 4 endo. I fortunately woke up from that surgery with all of the organs I started with, minus my appendix, which I'm told I don't need, but I still kind of miss some once in a while. It was supposed to be a fairly speedy recovery, just a couple weeks to maybe a month, but it wasn't. In fact, my health rapidly started to decline, and not long afterwards, I was thrown into the realm of mystery autoimmune illness. Joining over 200,000 people, that's over 6 in 10 in the US, classified as chronically ill. My life entered into a world of multiple diagnoses, doctor's appointments, and specialists. It's been a long road riddled with chronic pain up to the point of standing here in front of you today. I'm not going to spend any more of our time today on the details of this part of my health journey. There are just a few other bullet points to mention to catch you up to speed, including a courtship, an engagement, a wedding, a marriage, a couple of job changes due to declining health, having to quit working altogether, being bedridden for close to 2 years, a puppy, the passing of a beloved dog child, a divorce, and then starting life over, which landed me here in 2018. The spiritual tools I had relied upon for most of my life were no longer offering me any comfort, peace, or clarity to this new situation I found myself in. I grew up in a rather interesting family, surrounded by artists and the 4th generation to live on our family farm. Other than going to Sunday school with friends when I spent the night, we didn't have any formal religious conversations or dialogue in my immediate family. What I did have was a very open-minded, curious, and seeking mother. As she quested along the new age, new thought, and personal growth channels, my brother and I were exposed to so many different concepts, resources, and spiritual tools. To give you an idea, I was first gifted Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life at age 7. I was profoundly impacted by Lynn Andrews' Medicine Woman around age 11, I read the Celestine Prophecy when it first came out at age 13. And at age 17, deeply immersed in the Four Agreements. In high school, I received my first Reiki attunement and proceeded to pursue my Reiki master training in college. Along this quest, throw in a lot of various books on virtually any topic, healing modality trainings, and endless workshops. I was seeing energy healers, alternative practitioners, and eating healthy. I didn't even really try soda until I was late in high school. I naively thought that I had access to the tools to handle any situation life could throw at me. So back to this new illness state. I found myself that the tools didn't work for me any longer that I had grown to know. I could no longer tap into the energy channels that I had previously connected to. I was so congested with pain and blocked energy, the concepts I had learned along the lines of the law of attraction, positivity, affirmations, karma, everything happens for a reason, none of it made sense any longer. What did I do to deserve this? Crept in constantly. Meditation practices I had previously used were impossible. My nerve fibers were so inflamed and overloaded, and that quiet place you look for was screaming from inside as my soul experienced the overwhelm of mental anguish, despair, hopelessness, and confusion. I was cut off from the intuitive, creative, and spiritual connection I had always relied on. And I was desperately looking for answers as to what was happening and why was it happening. In addition to no longer being able to use the physical activities as a stress reliever, or yoga as a place to breathe into that inner calmness, I was simultaneously beyond stressed and fighting shutdown due to overwhelm. I woke up with thoughts such as, what is the point to this life? And admittedly, it was hard some days, most days, to get up out of bed. Sounds pretty dire, right? But I was fortunate to receive a great bit of curiosity from my mom. And even on those darkest of days, I wanted to know what this life of mine had in store and why I was here. Moving to the Bitterroot, I had to say goodbye to my awesome, hand-curated team of practitioners. Now limited to access to providers, both by location and financially, I had to open to other resources to support me in this new life. Excuse me. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 resources that are now an integral part of my life. After I'd exhausted every medical avenue I could, and 3 close friends suggested I read it. It always happens in threes, doesn't it? In 2016, my dear friend Sarah gifted me a book titled Medical Medium by Anthony Williams. I'm sure a few of you have heard of it. I stayed up and read the book in one evening, alternating between goosebumps and sobbing. After years of bouncing around the medical community, looking for answers, I knew in my deepest knowing and understood why I was sick and what I could do to heal. I immediately started following the dietary guidelines, and within the first week, I had a profound reduction in my chronic symptoms, including inflammation, systemic pain, and the brain fog that was in part contributing to my mental overwhelm. This book, followed by his next 4 books, I have no doubt saved my life. While I'm not about to talk about the specifics I went through, I am going to pause for just a quick minute and mention that in the fall, Astrid and I are starting a medical medium study group. We're going to start it with an informational gathering July 16th here, and you can look for further details about that. I also have this full set of books that were gifted to me that I'm going to be donating to the library today. So while Anthony's known for his plant-based food recommendations and for physical healing, the lesser-known aspects of the information he shares is the spiritual and emotional healing tools. Every single book has a section on specific meditations, soul healing techniques, or ways to connect on a deeper level with your food and your body to promote holistic healing and vibrant living. One of the most profound insights for me was the last chapter in his first book, titled Essential Angels. These are lesser-known angels than the famous archangels. These essential angels are readily available at any time to be called upon for support. These ladies, all the angels are female, are here to work alongside us and support us. According to Anthony and the source that he calls Spirit, there are 3 basic facts about angels. Number 1, they work for God, and you can insert whatever word you're comfortable with here from here on out. Their powers are vast and infinite. And number 3, they have free will. This is a little excerpt from the book. Medical Medium is a health book, a reference full of solid answers and protocols for healing specific illnesses. And yet, the spiritual side of life is still so important to our health. Spiritual strength is what helps us endure the trials of illness and something that in the long road to healing. Sometimes the long road to healing. A sense of purpose is what makes us care about making the right decisions to live long lives and healthy lives. Angels want to help you heal. They protect you from harm and lead you to the right choices. They want to help you experience the miracles of this world amidst the chaos. Angels are here for you. Okay, so if you find yourself skeptical hearing that, or it challenges what your current set of beliefs are, that's okay. It took me well over a year to even try this next bit I'm about to share with you. This is a new way to make contact with angels. The first thing to know is that you have to ask for their help out loud. You can't just think it. In order to get a response from an angel, you must fully set your mind to her and say her name out loud. Doing this separates your requests from everything else in your consciousness and signals it as a clean message. This is part of you giving angels your consent for them to intervene in your life. This is another excerpt from the book. And another important step is to have faith. If faith feels impossible to access, try this simple visualization. And this is in the afterword of the first book. Imagine faith as a golden rope, a lifeline trailing down from the sky. Picture yourself grasping it, then pulling on it as though you were ringing a bell to the heavens above. Over time, if you have faith, that faith will come to you. It will enter your heart, soul, spirit, and body. When you finally experience an ignition of faith and start living in its glory and its virtue, so much more becomes visible. Your conviction lights the way, and you can finally see how to leave the path of despair. You can restore your health. There are also the life-changing angels. These are 12 females whose mission is to assist humans and animals with food, health, and nourishment. They look out for our food supply, and they play a role in keeping us nourished. And then the unknown angels. This is 144,000 exactly of the most powerful yet least in demand angels. Being unnamed is part of their gift. It compels us to get in touch with a deeper form of trust when we call on them, and they do their work while we're sleeping. Talking to the angels at first was a bit uncomfortable for me, but I started doing it before bed regularly, and quickly found I felt that I had a sense of comfort and peace I hadn't had in my life before. If you're curious to learn more about the specific angels, other than the information in these books, I have a handout over here with all of their names and specific essences for you. So I could talk for hours of the miracle this healing body of work has been in my life, but I'm going to move on. So the other area I'm deep in the thick of is nervous system health. I've been on a self-guided inquiry for over a year and a half on the impacts of trauma, specifically early childhood developmental trauma, and how it affects us throughout our lives. This is an area that is gaining a lot of attention in recent years, and for good reason. For me, it was the missing piece of the puzzle as to why I wasn't healing, even with all of the tools and the resources I had explored and had access to. I believe it is often the greatest barrier to accessing our source connection as well. This is A big part of what Deepak Chopra talks about in his book, titled the same as this monthly's theme, Spiritual Solutions to Life's Challenges, he says, being in an expanded state of being should be our normal. And that is the whole point of the spiritual life. Now, I'm grotesquely summarizing a very robust book with lots of insights and tools. But after he makes this distinction and explores what an expanded state and a normal state ideally should be, really, he's talking about our current way of being has gotten so far away from walking in a path hand in hand in our spirituality. We are in this world of having to choose between nurturing this part of our lives and that part of our lives in an either-or manner, and not being able to live them together in what I call an and state. What if spiritual solutions, or rather, being in and listening to a connected state, was just how it was? Would we even have any life's challenges? Okay, so back to the nervous system health and somatic experiencing, which, if you aren't familiar, are exercises and techniques to release stored memories of trauma from the body. These techniques allow you to re-regulate and reset your nervous system. And I believe that this stored trauma, like we all have on some level from some experience, is often the greatest barrier to fully engaging in life. It can affect connecting to new spiritual practices, to deepening existing practices, to relationships, and to really utilizing various spiritual avenues, such as your own divine guidance, manifesting, and allowing our bodies to heal from injury and long-term illnesses. Heart math, which many of us had the joy of attending David MacArthur's workshop in February, is an amazing technique. It not only gives you access to a state of coherence in your body systems that so many of us strive for in meditation and mindfulness practices, but it also gives you a way to reset that parasympathetic nervous system in an accessible and lasting way. I started learning heart math in the winter of 2017, working over the phone with Becky Kuhn as my life coach. Learning the tool and making the heart-focused breathing part of my day aided me through a very hard transition. I was trying to pack up my old life, find a new place to live, and ultimately move to a new state, all while navigating a divorce and trying to maintain my chronic health symptoms. Learning to interrupt that overwhelm response, connect to my heart, connect to appreciation, and ultimately calm my nervous system during a highly stressful time period allowed me to build resilience and over time integrate that tool so that on a moment's notice I can call on it and not even think about it. Becky is amazing to work with. And I believe that having an accountability system, whether it be a coach or a friend or a therapist, is such an important part of navigating life's challenges. A simple somatic experiencing technique is this breathing technique. Take a deep 5-count breath in and take 10 breaths to breathe it out. You can count on your hand if you like. This is an effective technique if you find yourself in a trigger. A response like shutdown, a racing heart, panic, overwhelmed feeling of stress. It's like counting to 10. But when you take longer to breathe out than you did breathe in, you're telling your body that you are safe. You're no longer in a flight, fight, or freeze response. And again, it gives the parasympathetic system a chance to relax and start to recover. In restoring and regulating the resilience of your nervous system, it allows for you to go to a deeper connection, whether you call it source, intuition, guidance. For me, having lost that connection from being in a constant state of physical pain, uncertainty, and despair, and no longer having access to the meditative and spiritual practices of prior years, reconnecting through heart math, asking the angels for guidance, and working on removing deep-seated barriers in my nervous system, these practices opened a new avenue for me to access inner stillness and create space and pathways to reconnect to myself. This allowed me to begin trusting that inner knowing and guidance system. For me, it takes daily prioritization, commitment, and a willingness to reconnect, especially when setbacks and relapses rear themselves. It also takes a lot of faith and a lot of trust. Lastly, I want to shout out to my loyal and steadfast dear friend, Mother Nature. A big reason I moved back to the Bitterroot is our amazing access to clean outdoor spaces. As I rolled into town in my U-Haul, towing my car full of houseplants and a chartreuse kayak on top, it was quite a sight. I vowed to not take her for granted while living here. I spent as much of my time as I could get away with each day, walking along or sitting by the river or out in the forest. I've always been an outdoor lover. I spent a majority of my angsty teen years walking the property line of our farm, sitting in the meadow or up in a tree, watching the natural world do its thing. I studied natural sciences all through school and grew up camping and boating. It's always been a part of my life, and in some ways, I took it for granted for just being there, available. During the time I was bedridden, I couldn't hike or drive or walk to those wild places any longer. I was too sensitive to the jostle of the truck on the backcountry roads. And some days I was lucky if I could walk around the block, often having to use a cane to keep me steady. I had memories of favorite places I had to travel to in my mind on the worst of days. The breathing and the smell of the sun-warmed ponderosa bark, watching the mountain bluebirds flit by, and listening to the river song as she flows, is such sentient experiences that are desperately hard to conjure up in your mind's eye, day in and day out. Spending time in nature is no longer a luxury for me. It's become an absolute necessity. It's become my top priority, and the place, back to nervous system lingo, where I find the greatest co-regulation in my day, with my dogs, and with this beautiful wild land I'm so appreciative to get to live among. I'm going to leave you with a meditation from Anthony Williams' first book, but I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit of my story, my ongoing transformation. This is the first time I've shared it publicly. I wish I could say I'm miraculously healed. I'm so much better than I've been. I'm still in the midst of having to navigate many challenges. Some days are still hard, but most days get a little bit better. I'm confident with these new tools, my support system, and this beautiful valley, I'll be back to the level of wellness I so desire. I do hope that some of these avenues I've shared and spoke of today answer to some of the inquiries you have in your own life. If anything, be open. Listen and allow. Make room for the connections you need to support and allow them to show up. Be surprised at life, and life will keep surprising you. More than anything, I'm so grateful for this, almost made it, for this loving and accepting community. You guys all make this place feel a little bit more like home. So this is called Gazing Beyond the Stars. And I invite you to look at this beautiful photograph of the Milky Way, or if you have a favorite spot of the Bitterroot stars that you want to conjure in your mind's eye. It's not uncommon for a person's soul to become damaged by adversity or stress, especially when that person has been dealing with mystery illness for years on end. That's why God created a built-in safety mechanism for our souls. The majority of your soul is here, on earth. But far up in the ether, beyond the stars, God has safeguarded the essence of your soul. The angels protect it there in the heavens so that no matter what happens down here, your soul will be secure. It's a little like keeping a second key to your house in a lockbox in the garage, so that if your regular key goes missing, you can still get into the house. Or like securing your laptop with an encrypted password and keeping a backup encryption key in case you forget your login credentials. Along those same lines, God keeps the essence of our souls up beyond the stars and in case we lose ourselves. And there are so many ways for people to lose themselves here on this earth. People's souls can fracture as they go through life, or pieces can go missing. Injuries, whether physical or emotional, from past life, work, or childhood, send people soul searching. Addiction too comes in every shape and size and can rob people of their souls. There's alcohol and drug addiction, but also food addiction, gambling, seeing oneself in a negative way addiction, and many, many more. Addictions are a poison that can take people so far away from themselves that they almost become soulless. Yet you can never really lose yourself. You always have the ability to reunite with your soul because of God's safekeeping method. You don't have to search for that sense of wholeness anymore. To reclaim your soul, spend each night gazing up at the sky. First, get familiar with the stars. Your soul has a direct telepathic connection to them. Let their light and the wonder of their existence resonate for a few moments. Then shift your focus to the space beyond the stars. Envision that your true home lies way up in that, in a place free from suffering. It's the place some call heaven, God, the light, or the infinite. You may have uncomfortable associations with those words and prefer not to name the destination. Either way, remind yourself that part of you resides in this sanctuary, unharmed by earth's adversities. When you eventually pass from this earth, that's where you go. Tell yourself, this is a home I belong to, and will someday warmly return to. Spend as much time on this exercise as you'd like. The goal is repetition and reinforcement. You can stargaze for just 3 minutes a night and find that your soul rejuvenates in dazzling ways. Thank you.
Let me just tell Ms. Megan that it's wonderful to have you a part of this community. For sharing. Well, it's time for our second song.